back with the Tri-State Sports Guys. Let's get into some football.
Let's talk about
You were at the Jet game.
Section 228.
We went into last week.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. I was gonna make a joke and I decided not to. We were gonna. We went in last week and you said not only did they need to win, it needed to be a statement game, win convincingly. Now, from an outsider's view, a win is a win. You survive in advance. But I would not say that was a convincing win.
I agree with you.
Okay.
I did say though that it was more important for their defense to play really well
You
than
did
their
say
offense.
that.
And I think their defense did play well after they kind of settled down. I mean, you walk into the stadium and Reggie Bush goes off for 35 yards, and I'm like, are you kidding me? You know what I mean? And I think a lot of it is a little difficult. It's a lot like the Jaguars game. It was a little difficult to tell how well they played because there were open guys that he missed, and he just missed. You know, he just was so focused on Brandon Marshall that he was not even looking on the other side of the field.
They threw to him 13 times.
It was amazing. And you know, it's funny. Two things, two different texts you had sent me. One is you said, "Well, what did you think about Brandon Marshall? He torched Darrelle Revis."
I did think he torched.
How do you think he torched Darrelle Revis? Came away with 2 picks, one to the house.
Well, hold on.
Terribly throwing balls, though.
Yeah, it was a terrible.
What I'm saying to say he got torched, Marshall had 6 catches for 109 yards. One of those catches was on the big one was on Cromartie.
No doubt.
Where Cromartie fell down and he just ran out of bounds.
But there were other times.
So he gave up 60 yards passing to a guy that they threw to 13 times.
But the one ball at the end zone. Not granted, you're not there. So, I mean, you're there, and I don't know if you saw the replay. I'm sure Tony saw it. The one ball in the end zone that he had in the first quarter where they settled for a field goal, he was open. Darrelle Revis clearly pass interference, and it was an awfully thrown ball, which was clearly a theme, like you said.
Yeah.
So,
but he broke up a couple big plays. They threw that back shoulder fade, which you know is the hardest.
Listen, I know what he wasn't torched.
Torch
but
is
for
the wrong
Darrelle Revis, that was a torch.
And that just
When was the last time he
Brandon-
gave up 6 catches in the game?
Yeah, 6 catches for 60 yards. I mean, you're saying that's
like
torch
200 for another guy.
to a guy. I mean, he is. He's one of the more underrated
And
wide receivers in the
How
league.
about Brandon Marshall just running out of bounds?
That
Falling-
play.
It was like
I just
Cromartie
think he didn't
blew.
know where he was on the field. He caught the ball on the hash mark.
That
man.
can't be the excuse.
But he caught the
He
ball.
didn't know where he was on the
He
field.
didn't catch the ball on the sideline. When he caught the ball, he
I
just got
know.
the hash. And we watched it, and I'm like, did he just run out of bounds? And he sure did. I don't know what
what was
happened.
amazing was he was running. He wasn't looking behind, like which you can understand, like if you like misdirect. And then all of a sudden he just started veering.
Yeah. No, it was bizarre. But the second thing you texted me was you think that the fans are turning on
Yes.
Sanchez, which I could tell you from being in the crowd, and I don't know what the rest of the crowd, but I mean, in my section, people seem to be, I mean, it's not turning. They have already turned on Schottenheimer. Nobody
So
was
you think
really.
it's all on him.
I really do. I don't think that. I mean, I don't think people are like just completely enamored with Mark Sanchez, but I think they realize, that you look at what they were doing, and they didn't get their first down until midway through the second quarter, and what they're doing is they're not changing anything with what their passing game is. I mean, their answer was to split Joe McKnight out and throw a stop to him. He had that one big in route where he ran like a deep in, but at some point, granted, I think to this point, there's no doubt that Plaxico Burress has been a huge bust, but we talk about it all the time. One of the things that Eli Manning does really well, and we're going to get to Eli Manning, is he sees one-on-one matchups, and he takes a shot at it and says, how many times do you see pass interference calls against the Giants? How many times have you seen a pass interference call on a deep ball for the Jets? I don't think it's happened all year because they don't throw it up to him.
What I was thinking when I texted you that was I remember it was one of those first series, and he threw the ball to Santonio Holmes, so it wasn't that it was a bad play call like where you're talking about like just giving the ball to Joe McKnight or running these these trick plays, and it was a bad throw, and that's when I heard the fans booing. And that play specifically got me thinking that's not like a bad play call. It's just an awful execution. So maybe they're booing. Maybe they're booing Santonio Holmes because they wanted to shut him up. They wanted him to shut up.
Yeah, no, maybe at that point they were booing Sanchez. You're right, but I'm just talking about that the chatter in the crowd was all about Schottenheimer sucks, and it's nothing new with the Jets though. I mean, anybody that's watched the Jets for the last 2 years, when people talk about good wins and bad wins for the Jets, all of their wins last year, basically all of them were of the late win variety or close games. They played a couple ridiculously close games against bad teams like the Browns, and that's just how they've won the last 2 years. So none of this is new. It's just new that their defense is playing so bad. Their offense is always notoriously under Rex Ryan and Schottenheimer been slow starters.
Now here they are 3-3, mm-hmm. And in the next 4 weeks you have a bye, and you have a game, not necessarily in this order. You have games against the Patriots, the Bills.
And Chargers this week.
The Chargers, and then the Dolphins after that.
Yeah.
So
here's what's got to happen. I mean, we talked about I thought 3-2 coming out of these first 5 games is where I thought they would be. I mean, when you look at the schedule at the beginning of the year, I said the Jets are going to win 11 games. They're going to come out of the first 5 3-2. They came out of it 2-3. So now they have to beat a team that when you look at the schedule,
You didn't expect them to beat.
Which means over the next, and you didn't think the Bills were going to be as good as they are.
And that
So
was an automatic win.
that was
going
going. You were hoping that they were going to have 2 wins against the Bills, which is not going to be the case. I also, but I did think they were going to split against the Finns because they always split against the Finns. So I think that over the next 3 games, over the next 4 weeks, they got to win 2 of the next 3 games. So to say this week is a must-win, it's a must-win in the fact that if you lose it, you're going to have to go and beat the Pats and the Bills back-to-back, which is not an easy task. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So they got to win 2 out of the next 3 games. And then, their schedule really never gets easy. A lot because of the Bills not being as bad as they thought. And I thought the Giants were going to be worse than they are. I thought that home game, second to last game of the season, was going to be a win for them. Now it's looking like the way the NFC East is shaping up, that's going to be a huge game for the Giants no matter what, because they got that tough schedule going into that. It's going to be tough, but they got to come out of this with 2 out of 3 wins. You agree with that? I mean, to say that they need to sweep is going to be ridiculous.
I think they have to do it. I'm not. You seem confident they can do it.
No, I don't seem confident.
Oh, okay.
Oh no,
if
I seen that, then that's wrong. No, I don't seem confident. I mean, they're underdogs at home right now. The line opened at 2 points against the Chargers this week, which means that on a neutral site, basically that'd be a 5-point spread. That means that they think that the Chargers are that much better, and I agree with that. The Chargers are a better team, I think. And it's.
I don't think there's any way they beat the Pats.
No, I could see them beating the Pats. I mean, the Jets Pats games. I
understand you throw it out the window.
You really throw it out the window. And that game last week, if they had to stop on that long drive they had in the fourth quarter. I mean, they were in that game in the fourth quarter on the road.
I'm not saying it's crazy.
You just said they didn't think they had a chance to beat the Pats.
I'm not saying it's crazy to think they do. In my opinion, I just don't see it. The way the Patriots are playing. They haven't been playing great. They had to drive down the field against Dallas. I could see that being a game where the focus is such a level that it's going to be like the game that they played last year on Monday night.
Yeah.
When it was just awful for the Jets in New England. I think they're going to beat the Bills.
You think they're going to win this week?
I do not know. I'm torn on this week because everything's against the West Coast team here. Speaking from a Raider fan who went to Buffalo that time.
Yeah.
I think this is the game right here. This is going to because I think they're going to go 1-1 against those 2 teams. Against the Patriots.
It's a huge game. To say it's a must-win is a stretch, but like I said, they got to win 2 out of 3. So if they lose this week, then it's a must-win up in Foxborough.
Even if they win 2 out of 3, you're still only 6-4 after 10 because they're going to beat the Dolphins again.
Yeah.
So you're going to be 6-4. I think the point is that, and I know you're going to say, well, who cares what the preseason? This team should be better than a 6-4 team, don't you think?
No. I don't know anybody that picked them to win the division. I don't know anyone that picked them to win the division. Do you? Although they said that they wanted to, I didn't see anyone pick them to win the division over the Patriots.
I think maybe they're just a victim of their own.
I think the only people that thought it was because of all their talk.
Yeah.
But I don't think that a lot of people really felt like they were gonna. I mean, people in the know and people that want to bet weren't. So you can look about the spreads. The only game that they lost where they weren't where they were the favorite was the Raiders, and that's a tough game when we said you're going over to the West Coast. Yeah. So it's not like they're losing games that they're the favorite. They've lost 2 games where they're the underdog, and if they lose this week, they're the underdog. So if they were this great team, they wouldn't be the underdog in those games.
It's going to be interesting because I'll be interested. I got a feeling there's no love lost between Cromartie and that team.
Yeah.
And they're not going to throw to Reeves.
They're not
stupid like the Dolphins.
We got a little bit of time. Let's get to the Giants-Bills game.
Awful loss by the Bills.
Yeah, the Bills.
And I think you would agree with that because the Giants are not playing great. The Bills were outplaying them.
That was a gift they gave them.
The Bills were outplaying them.
And they beat them by just poorly thrown balls by Fitzpatrick. They weren't bad decisions.
Those are 2 touchdowns. Both of those passes.
Oh yeah,
those passes
yeah. They were both just
Webster
short.
is not like an All-Pro player. They made him out to be like a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And it's not like he's not used to throwing in the wind. I mean, he plays up in Buffalo.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not like, but he just underthrew 2 balls. That first one just landed right in his hands. The second one was so short. I mean, that was a touchdown.
Yeah.
And that's the game. And it's like that's something that you don't normally see out of Ryan Fitzpatrick making inaccurate. Well, you don't see him making mistakes.
Yeah.
But I do think the thing that is so good about the Giants. And Ryan Fitzpatrick had been sacked 4 times all year going into that game, none of which were in the pocket. He had 3 that game, and he was knocked around.
And they've still yet to play. The Giants have still yet to play with Tuck, Umanura, and JPP all at the same time.
Right.
Their front 7, they are monsters. but their defensive backfield
It's
is
amazing.
terrible.
It's almost amazing how
Terrible.
bad they are when you look at how when you have a great defensive line like that, it kind of hides a lot of your flaws because you're only got to cover guys for 3.5 seconds,
Yeah.
and they can't do that.
Well,
Fred Jackson on that long run, he ran
Oh.
by the safety as if like I was playing safety.
Yeah,
And
it was
just
as if he was a punter.
Yeah, and you just realize like I don't have an angle. I'm just gonna let this guy sprint by me.
And then the next one they gave up, they moved all the D-backs up to like guard against a short pass, and the guy takes 4 steps off the line, catches the pass, and just splits
Yeah.
up the middle, and they're lost.
No, but you gotta give him credit. They're 4-2.
And I got
They're
to,
in
you know,
first place.
and I'm not a fan of him, but you got to give he played a great game was Eli Manning. Played a great game. He didn't throw any
I think-
touchdown passes. He had the one that got overturned. He played a great game.
I think that's what frustrates people about him though. Is he'll play a game like that where you're like, he's just solid, and then he'll throw the ball in triple coverage the next time.
but
right?
that's part of his game is throwing the ball in the triple coverage,
Yeah.
and it's almost like what you want. You know, he throws the ball in the triple coverage downfield, and I think that he's saying, you know what, the way the NFL is now, I got these great athletes as a receiver. Either they're going to go up and make a great play, the play gets batted away, possibly it gets picked, but also we might get a pass interference, and they get a ton of pass interference
Yeah.
calls downfield.
Yeah.
The Giants have done what they had to do because their schedule, as we've discussed and everyone discusses, only gets much worse.
Right.
Now the Bills, these are a big couple weeks for them.
Yeah. This is, I think, when you start to see the Bills fade, though.
Yeah, they're off this week, and they come back to Washington. So
And Washington, and then the Jets, right?
Right. Washington, the Jets up in Buffalo. I think that, it's going to get to the point when it's crunch time for them, and I don't know that they're going to, they have this defense that basically plays by turning the ball over. They give up a lot of yards, but they're able to get the big turnover, and that did work for the
Worked for
Saints.
the Saints.
The Saints when they won the Super Bowl.
Hard to do it for a full season.
Exactly.
Almost
And they had a
impossible.
lot. And let's be honest, they had a lot of good break turnovers too. I mean,
Yeah.
when they played the Patriots, they had 2 balls that were tipped that went right up in the air, right into somebody's
and
hands.
their offense is not what the Saints was either.
But
So
at the
That's
end
what
of
I'm
the
saying.
day,
And I don't
Yeah.
think anybody really thinks that they're going to win the division. Clearly, I don't think they have a chance of catching the Patriots. But can they hang around and win 10 games to be in the playoff hunt? They could.
Yeah.
I think if Fitzpatrick plays like he had been the first few games, mistake free, they're always going to have a shot.
Yeah.
But if he plays like that, then they have no shot.
Right. Exactly. But I don't think. I think that was an aberration. I don't think that he's going
Yeah,
to.
He's a smart guy.
And it's not even being smart. He's an accurate guy. One of his big assets.
Yeah.
He's got a big arm and he's accurate, and it's very uncharacteristic for him. But I think that them coming back to earth is one of the reasons why the Jets. You look at the AFC and the teams that are going to be in the playoff hunt for the wild card. You got the Raiders.
Believe it.
We're going to get into the Raiders later on, but they obviously have some question marks now with the new
Yeah.
quarterback coming in.
I'd say.
I mean, you have the Steelers now look more like a wild card team than a division winning team. Right now the
Houston.
the Tennessee Titans are leading that division. The Houston Texans have got some huge injuries. I mean, Andre Johnson's coming back, but the Mario Williams injury is huge.
Yep.
They're going to be a team. So there's a lot of these teams that are right now the Bengals are 4-2. I mean, do you think they're a better team than the Jets? I don't know. I don't think so, but
Bengals defense has been unbelievable.
they're number 1 defense in the league.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I know that their their whole defense is so young and they're playing incredibly.
Right, and they got the 2 young wide receivers, and Simpson and AJ Green make plays. But it looks, I think that it bodes well for the Jets and the Bills that it's going to be one of those seasons where this is going to come down to tiebreakers. It's going to come down to divisional games. They had the weird tiebreakers. It's head-to-head, and then it's divisional games. Luckily for the Bills and the Jets, they get the Dolphins twice. You know what I'm saying? So that helps them. And it's going to be one of those. A tiebreaker will decide the 6th seed. I'm almost sure of that because there's not a lot separating those teams. And there are a couple of really bad teams in the AFC that are going to lose every time.
Let me ask you a quick question as we wrap up here.
Mm-hmm.
Rex Ryan, the answer may be 0. How close are you, 0 being not close at all, 10 being very close, to jumping ship and being sick of him? Not
0.
saying you are. What about other guys? What do you think the consensus is?
I'd say
Because there's that Mangini thing, that Mangenius thing going, right? Where, they love him when he's great, and when he's not, it's like, shut up.
here's we only got a couple seconds here, but I listened to the fan today. He had made the comments today about what he
We may
interviewed
get
for the
into
job.
that later. Yeah.
Yeah, we might get into that later. And so there were a bunch of fans saying, I've been a Jet fan for 30 years, and now I'm done with them because of Rex Ryan. Then you weren't a Jet fan. Can you imagine not being a Met fan because of something? That mean you weren't a Jet fan. Real Jet fans are behind Rex Ryan because never has a coach come in and take you to
But the
2.
tides are starting to turn. You'd agree with that.
For the fair weather Jet
Yeah,
fans
for
who
sure.
claims, which are a lot of New York fair weather
Yep.
friends.
All right, when we come back, we'll do some other stuff.
Yeah, why
I'm
not?
looking forward to it. We'll be back with the Tri-State Sports guys.